tonight we continue our MCU journey with Captain America, the First Avenger. What's up guys, I'm Ryan, welcome to my channel. As I just said, tonight our next entry and our next stop on our journey through the MCU is Captain America, the First Avenger. We are almost done with Phase 1, so I'm just gonna jump right into this. I'm gonna watch the film, give my review, see if we can pull any good biblical pictures or messages out of the film, and so yeah, I'll see y'all after. Welcome to After the Movie. What's up guys? So it is the next day actually. When I finished the film, it was pretty late. I think it was a few minutes after 1 o'clock a.m. So I was really tired. I was like, I'll just film the review tomorrow. So it is the next day. So there's your explanation for the change of clothes and why it maybe looks a bit brighter in my room, because the sunlight's coming through the window now. But now let's jump into my thoughts on Captain America. Spoilers, by the way, guys. First thing you have to talk about with this film is the excellent casting of Chris Evans as Steve Rogers' Captain America. Even though he doesn't seem to be much like Captain America in real life, he seems more like Ransom from Knives Out. He plays this role to perfection. He is so good. Steve Rogers is such a likable character. He's so easy to root for and to like because he's just a good guy. He's selfless. He puts others before himself. He's willing to lay his life down on the line. He wants to join the army. He wants to fight. He wants to save people. He wants to protect them. And no matter how many times he is discouraged or he is told he can't do that and that he's not cut out for that, he keeps trying. He keeps going. Whenever he gets knocked down, he gets back up again. It is no wonder that so many people love Chris Evans' Captain America. But we also get a lot of other great actors playing great characters, such as Sebastian Stan as Bucky Barnes. We are introduced to him in this movie, and it's really crazy. He's been playing this character in the MCU for like 15 years now. But he is great. The relationship and the friendship between him and Steve is great to see. Haley Atwell is also a standout as Peggy Carter. She's a really good love interest for Steve, and it's very fun to watch them fall in love, and it's very heartbreaking come the end when Steve dies and now they're separated by 70 years. I love their lines talking about how they just haven't found the right partner to dance with yet, and when Steve is trying to get the plane in the ocean at the end, and he's talking to Peggy over the radio, and they're trying to, and he's like, I'm gonna need a rain check on that dance, Peggy. And she's like, okay, meet me at this place at Saturday, don't you dare be late. And they're talking like it's gonna happen, and then Steve's mic cuts out, and then she's just repeatedly saying his name, and he's not there, and she's just crying. Oh, it's so heartbreaking. But I'm glad they get their happy ending in Avengers Endgame, as we see. You also get Tommy Lee Jones as, I think, Captain Phillips, I think is his name. Hugo Weaving as our main villain, Red Skull. Stanley Tucci as Dr. Abraham Erskine. I don't know the actors' names, I should have looked this up beforehand, but we also get Howard Stark and Arnim Zola. The actors who played those characters are really good as well. We get the Howling Commandos in this film, Captain America's team. A standout for me being Neil McDonough. I first saw him in Arrow Season 4 when he played the main villain of the season, Damien Dark. And it's just always nice to see him show up in things because I believe he is a fellow Christian. They just got so many fantastic actors for this film to play great roles. There's some really good action sequences here. It's really funny. It's got that Marvel humor. And I think that a lot of these earlier Phase 1 films have gotten much better in light of seeing the full Infinity Saga and their full character arcs. Because I remember not being too much of a fan of a lot of these earlier Phase 1 films, but going back and rewatching them recently, I enjoyed them a lot more, and I think that's because I've seen the end of their story arcs. You know, the big three of the Infinity Saga are Iron Man and Captain America and Thor. They were our faces, our main stars of the MCU in this era. They set up great character arcs in these first Phase 1 films that they paid off wonderfully in Endgame. More so with Captain America and Iron Man, Thor is still around and he's still kind of on a journey in the MCU. Interested to see if that ends in Avengers Doomsday or Secret Wars and Chris Hemsworth's time as Thor, if it'll be up soon. But they set up these great likable characters and stars that we see consistently throughout the Infinity Saga. It's like every couple of years we are seeing them again, we are catching up with them, they get a sequel or they appear in another film where they're not necessarily the star, but we do get some character development with them. They just take these characters on great journeys throughout the Infinity Saga, and their character arcs are brought to a satisfying and fitting conclusion. Like I said, just seeing where Captain America's arc goes in Endgame and how he does get that last dance with Peggy and how he gets to live out a life with her, the woman he loves eventually, just makes this, I think, makes this film better, because you know that Captain America, he's such a good guy and you want him to get that happy ending, and he does. While watching this film, I was really thinking, this is what the MCU is missing. I, like a lot of people, think the MCU has recently, in the past few years, really dipped in quality. It's not as consistently great as it used to be. Now, we have gotten some great films, but most films have been very average, some would even say bad. Hot take maybe, but I still think the MCU has yet to put out a bad film. They've put out bad TV shows, in my opinion, but they still have yet to make a bad film. Even my least favorite film in the MCU, I still enjoy. I still think it's fine. But a lot of the films recently have been very average, like nothing that really sticks out. It's not really saying anything profound, anything emotionally powerful. It's just a fine movie. And just watching through the Infinity Saga again, watching these early Phase 1 films where they are setting up these great characters and setting up these moments like in Endgame with like Iron Man's snap and Captain America picking up Thor's hammer, just seeing the setup for that in these early Phase 1 films, I'm just like, that's what Marvel's missing, and that's one reason I'm as excited as I am for Doomsday and Secret Wars. I'm very nervous because it feels like they haven't been using the same strategy they used in Phases 1 through 3. Like I said before, in these Phase 1 films, they're setting up these great characters, these stars that are clearly... We get a lot of characters introduced in the Infinity Saga, but clearly Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor are our main faces, our main stars, our main characters with the arcs that we are following, and we see them consistently throughout the films in the Infinity Saga. And we get great character development, and like I said, the arcs come to a satisfying, fitting conclusion for each of those characters. And the MCU just hasn't been doing that recently. Now, there have been some standout brand new characters, I think. They've introduced some brand new characters that I really enjoy, and they're some of my favorite characters the MCU has ever had, like Yelena Belova and Kate Bishop, but I'm just not seeing how they're setting up these great journeys in this new era of the MCU, and I'm just not seeing how these character arcs are going to pay off, and are they going to be brought to fitting, satisfying conclusions in those two finale films, Doomsday and Secret Wars? Are we going to get moments like the Iron Man snap and Captain America lifting Thor's hammer in those films? Are we going to get scenes where years of build-up and character development pays off? Whether it be an old or new character, this new era or saga, the multiverse saga of the MCU, just feels like we're not consistently catching up with these characters. The MCU had a brilliant strategy in the Infinity Saga. For example, with Iron Man, he got 2 movies in Phase 1, then we see him again in Avengers, then we get Iron Man 3, then we get Avengers 2, and then he's in Captain America 3, he's in Spider-Man Homecoming, he's in Avengers Infinity War, and Endgame. He's in like 9 or 10 movies in the Infinity Saga. We're consistently catching up with this character, seeing his development, seeing that character growth and that arc play out, but we're not getting that in the MCU right now. Like Shang-Chi, I really like Shang-Chi. I thought it was a great film, but we haven't seen him since, and for years we didn't know when we were gonna see him again. I was really hoping we were gonna get a Shang-Chi 2 in the next couple of years, but we didn't, and then they just recently announced that he's going to be in Avengers Doomsday, and I'm like, really? Like, assuming that Doomsday and Secret Wars are intended to be what Infinity War and Endgame are, if this is going to be the conclusion of Shang-Chi's arc, I'm just not sure if it's going to be very satisfying, because we haven't been spending a lot of time with him. If you ask me, the ending of Phase 4 should have been Thunderbolts or the New Avengers, so we have somewhat of an idea maybe who our new stars are, who the new Avengers are, and then Phase 5, you do Avengers 5 as the final film of that phase, and then you do Doomsday and Secret Wars in Phase 6 as the new Infinity War and Endgame. I don't think it was a great decision to wait and do the next Avengers films until the ending of this new multiverse saga. At the end of Phase 5, I think they should have done something like Avengers Secret Invasion. And I know we got a TV show, Secret Invasion, but it didn't look very good. I heard it was one of the worst MCU shows. It didn't look or sound like they did that storyline justice. I think Secret Invasion would have been so much better as an Avengers film. I think that storyline could have played out in just one film. Of course, you want to have that build up in phases 4 and 5, and also some setup for Doctor Doom and all that. But if we get Avengers Secret Invasion at the end of phase 5, we're bringing together a lot of our MCU characters again. They're meeting up, they're talking to and interacting with each other. We're consistently seeing these characters and building up, seeing the character growth, building their arcs, and you just see all these characters come together and you see the intersections of their story arcs. I think if they really wanted to do Secret Invasion justice, it should have been an Avengers film, because I don't know if anyone watched The Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, one of my favorite shows, but they do the Secret Invasion storyline. Like, that's like the first half of season 2 is the Secret Invasion storyline, and it is done so well. If you watch Secret Invasion and didn't like it, go watch Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes. They do a much better job of tackling that storyline. It's much more satisfying. They do that storyline justice. But all that to say, I think that one reason I just really enjoyed this film this time around is because it's just a simpler time. The MCU had a brilliant strategy for those first 3 phases. It was just really nice to go back to the good old days of the MCU and just really see what a masterpiece they concocted with the Infinity Saga. Another little thing I loved about this film is the references or the little homages to Captain America's kind of history in the comics. When he first gets the Super Soldier Serum and he's selling war bonds, he's wearing the classic Captain America get up, and he's doing these shows and he's like punching Hitler in the face, and we actually get those comics, that iconic comic book cover of him punching Hitler in the face. Just little references like that the MCU does, I just love. And one scripture actually this film reminded me of, or a part of this film reminded me of, is First Samuel 16:7. I love how Dr. Abraham Erskine chooses Steve. He overhears a conversation between him and Bucky about Steve really wanting to fight in the war, and Dr. Erskine really gets to know Steve, and he recruits him to take the Super Soldier Serum because he sees his heart and what a good person he is. And it reminded me of 1 Samuel chapter 16 verse 7. Let me read it for you. But the Lord said to Samuel, "Do not look at his appearance or at his physical stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord does not see as man sees, for man looks at outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." Now let me give you some context for that verse. When we get to 1 Samuel chapter 16, God has decided to rip the kingdom of Israel away from King Saul because he decided not to listen to instructions. He decides to give Israel a new king, a man after his own heart, King David, one of my favorite Bible characters. Love the guy. Can't wait to meet him in heaven. But he tells Samuel that he has provided a king for himself among the sons of Jesse, so he tells Samuel to go to Jesse, and Jesse brings out all his sons except David. I believe Jesse had 8 sons, including David, but he brings out all his sons except David, and Samuel's looking at them, and they all, look the part. They're all big and strong, and they look good, and he's thinking, oh, surely this one's the next king of Israel. Oh, surely this one's the next king of Israel. And that's when the Lord says to him, "Do not look at his physical appearance. The Lord does not see as man sees. Man looks at outward appearances, but the Lord looks at the heart, at someone's character." And that's why David was chosen as the next king of Israel, because he is a man after God's own heart. David is a man who seeks the Lord, who loves the Lord. But that's what Dr. Erskine's choosing of Steve reminded me of, because I love that conversation they have where he says, "The serum exemplifies what's already inside. It makes good great and bad even worse. The strong man who has known power all his life may lose respect for that power, but a weak man knows the value of strength and knows compassion. Whatever happens tomorrow, you must promise me one thing. You will stay who you are, not a perfect soldier, but a good man." That's why Dr. Erskine chooses Steve, because he may look weak and frail and skinny and he's slow, but that doesn't matter to Dr. Erskine. Dr. Erskine knows what's really important: his heart, his good character. No matter how much ridicule Steve endures, no matter how much he is put down, and told that he can't do this, he gets up and keeps fighting and keeps going. I love that scene where Tommy Lee Jones' character is talking to Dr. Erskine. He's like, "Are you sure about this?" or something like that. He is weak, he's skinny, and then he throws a fake grenade onto the training grounds and all the soldiers scatter, but Steve jumps on it thinking it's real and trying to protect everyone. He's like, "Get back!" Steve is willing to lay down his life. He cares much more for others than he does for himself. And I love that scene where Dr. Erskine is shot and he's dying, and Steve runs over to him after being given the super soldier serum. And as he's dying, Dr. Erskine doesn't say anything, but he points at and taps on Steve's heart as if he's saying to him, "Remember to be a good man." Everyone is looking at Steve's physical appearance, but Dr. Erskine sees Steve's heart. This film is just such a wonderful reminder of those verses. This is a really good film. I think overall I'd give it a 7 or 8 out of 10. I'm only missing a couple points because it didn't blow me away or anything. To be a 9 or 10 out of 10 film for me, you have to be very emotionally powerful and like blow me away, be super impressive. And also there's just a few moments in here that kind of lose my attention, like when Steve is selling war bonds and he's like doing shows. It's not really that interesting to me. It kind of lost focus a couple moments in that part of the movie. But I think that's all my thoughts on Captain America, the First Avenger. Super excited to watch the Avengers next and finish Phase 1. But thank y'all for watching this review. Please leave your thoughts about Captain America, the First Avenger down below. Would love to have a conversation with you guys about this film. Like and subscribe if you enjoy my content, and continue this journey with me of watching through all the MCU films. Would love and appreciate your support in helping me put good, godly Christian content out there in the world. And with that, y'all have a good one. I'll see y'all next time, guys.